folks! Today on Journal Sunshine, I'm going to show you a type of craft supply that has changed what I think about rubber stamps. And that is these clear acrylic photopolymer stamps. These particular ones are from a company called Everyday Explorers Co., which I really love. Their stamps are my favorite, and I'm going to show you how I use these really innovative stamps to dress up your journaling pages. This is Lauren, by the way, and something you should know about me is that I am not a big fan of traditional rubber stamps. I can never get them to go where I want them, they never end up looking the way I'd hoped, and then out of nowhere, the brilliant Amy Tangerine introduced me to these clear stamps as if she'd known how much I needed them. To use these, you'll need a clear acrylic block to mount the stamp onto. These come in a bunch of shapes and sizes, and they even have ones that lower like a screen printing press, which is very cool, but not what I needed for my purposes. Optional, but I do recommend using some kind of flat board to put under your pages. You can also just flip the notebook around so the page is flat on a table, but I've found this to be easier. You'll also need some ink. I'll be demonstrating two different inks in this video, the VersaMagic and the VersaFine. You'll want to choose the ink that makes the most sense for what you're stamping on. They even make inks for more intense applications like fabric or wood. I'm going to start off with the VersaMagic because I prefer the way that works with the thin Tomoe River Paper I'll be stamping on today. So our first step will be to pick out a stamp to use. This sheet was designed by Abby C., who has an amazing journaling channel here on YouTube. I love her work, and these stamps are no exception. So well designed. Carefully peel off the stamp you want from the backing and stick the flat side onto one of those acrylic blocks I showed you earlier. Let's get a closer look at one of these stamps. The cool thing about this is that when you flip it over, you can see exactly what the stamp is going to look like. It's not backwards. If it's upside down, you can fix it so easily. And as you'll see in a minute, you'll be able to see exactly where you're placing it on the page, which is key. Just to make things a bit more stable, I'm putting this writing board under the page I'll be stamping, and then the next step is to ink up that stamp I chose. There are two ways I've found to do this. You can press the ink pad down onto the stamp or press the stamp down onto the ink pad. I prefer the latter. You do whatever you want to do. Then I like to check and see whether the ink was applied evenly by looking through the acrylic block. Looks good to me, so I'm going to choose a spot and press it down. Now, I've been getting braver with these lately, and as you can see there, I didn't get a super dark impression. Some of that is the ink, which is a chalk ink, and it's on the older side, so it's drier than it once was. But if you're more nervous, you are welcome to practice stamp on a piece of scrap paper first to make sure you've got it properly inked up. But as it turns out, I'm fine with this, and as you can see here, I launched right into cleaning the stamp off because if I don't, I won't want to later, and I want to keep these stamps in good shape. I use a bit of this stamp cleaner that's made specifically for this kind of stamp, first on a paper towel to get most of the ink off, and then directly onto the stamp itself. Putting that stamp aside to soak for a minute, and I'm heading right into choosing another stamp. And spoiler alert, but this is an example of how things can go wrong, because nobody's perfect, but I wanted to show you how I'll fix it. Now, because these stamps are a bit squishy, I try not to press too hard, and I find that I don't like the impression when I do, but in this case, I didn't use enough ink and I didn't press hard enough. I should have left well enough alone, but instead, I decided to get gutsy and try a second time, because sometimes you can see through the stamp well enough to line it up and fix a spot that didn't stamp initially. As you can see, this did not work out for me, so you know what I did? I covered it up with a sticker and all is well again. There is no reason to be worried as long as you're not stamping on like a one-of-a-kind priceless heirloom. In this case, I just moved on and everything went well from here on out. It is one of those things that takes practice, from what I am told, but I do find that I make less mistakes than I do with traditional rubber stamps, which are even less predictable in my experience. Once your stamps are clean and dry, all you have to do is stick them back on the plastic and you're good to go for the next time you want to use them. If I'm in the mood to stamp my journal pages, I usually pick a bunch of different ones and stamp them all spread out before I start writing on the page. I like the way handwritten paragraphs look if they have to kind of maneuver around a bunch of stickers and stamps. Now, I did mention another ink earlier in the video, and I wanted to show you the differences. VersaFine ink is darker and says that it handles fine details and stamps really well, and that has generally been my experience. However, I don't typically use it on thinner papers like this because the ink soaks through. So here are some cute little pens hanging out under that journal stamp, and wow, yes, that's much darker and clearer than the VersaMagic. But when you flip the page over, you can see that it did soak through. Both inks ghost on Tomoe River Paper, but the VersaFine actually did leak through the page. And hey look, I fixed it with another sticker. Just be careful about stamping if there's writing on the back of the page if you care about that sort of thing. You don't have to care about it. One way that I get around this is to stamp with the VersaFine ink on cardstock, then cut out the image and paste it onto my journal pages. That way you won't have that problem. That's also a good way to avoid messing up because you can always stamp again and just not cut out the messy one. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Before we finish up, I wanted to unbox some new stamps I purchased and show you what I got. Alright, so I just got this package in the mail from Everyday Explorers Co. They're a really cool company. They make awesome designs, stickers, notebooks, and what I ended up getting, clear stamps. And some stickers. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've got here. So this is an acrylic block for clear stamps. I already had a couple of these, but I don't have one with like a grid pattern on it, and I thought that this might be helpful for if I want to make sure something is really straight on the page. It can help line the grid lines up with the lines on the paper if there are lines on the paper. This is a really good example of how beautiful their design work is. So nice. I just really like the way that they use text. So here are some stickers. Let's take a look at these. This one says, let's stay home and make stuff. And then these are actually part of their mini bookmakers club. I just really love their designs, and I tend to buy the stamps from them more often just because the stickers you can only use once, but the stamps you can use again and again. But I just really liked these. I thought they were colorful and fun, and yeah, beautiful designs too. I love the kind of like seals that they design. So pretty. These are some little tabs that I could put on the edges of the pages too. It's awesome. And then these are two of the stamp sets that I got from them this time. I actually ordered a third, but it was behind. I don't know actually if they have them yet, but supply chain issues and such. That one will be coming later. But this one is called Track All the Things. And it has these different ways of doing trackers. So you can track how many days, how many weeks. You can just check or color in the boxes. There's a progress tracker that you can fill in with percentages. It's kind of very open and makes it easy for you to create little trackers in your planners and journals. And so I thought that that would be a fun thing to try. But that's that one. And then this one, the design is called Currently Seals. I love the idea of this set because I started a Hobonichi 5-year journal, and I thought that on the right side of the page I could put one of these, and it's kind of a prompt. And so for the 5 years that I'm working on that journal, when I come back to the page with one of these stamps again, I can like write down what I'm currently listening to, and I'll get to update it every year for 5 years. So I thought that this would be a way to kind of add some interesting designs that aren't just my handwriting on that journal. But that is everything that came in this first envelope, at least. That is what I ended up with. Definitely check them out. Their website is everydayexplorers.co. And yeah, always really happy with whatever I end up buying from them, for sure. Let me know in the comments below if you like to stamp. Do you prefer rubber stamps? Do you like clear stamps? Do you prefer stickers? Do you just avoid the whole thing entirely? Let me know. I'm very interested to hear. I did end up getting that extra stamp set in the mail. They answered quickly when I emailed them with a question about it, and the stamps are so well designed as always. And that's all for now. I'm working on a video where I finish the journaling page I started in this video, so if you'd like to see that, make sure you're subscribed. My hope is that this video inspires you to make something and try something new, even if it intimidates you a little bit. See you next time!